Pride and Prejudice in the company.
Hello everyone and welcome to this new episode. Yes, I know Pride and Prejudice isn't exactly about chemistry or industry, but human relationships remain timeless. And when you look closely, you find the same dynamics in business as in Jane Austen's novel. Hasty judgments, cultural misunderstandings, ego games, and sometimes even small dramas worthy of Mrs. Bennet. Today, we're going to talk about communication, pride, and prejudice in the workplace, drawing inspiration from this great literary classic. Chapter 1, Who's That Guy? The Art of Judging Too Quickly. In Pride and Prejudice, Elizabeth Bennet forms a definitive opinion about Mr. Darcy from their first meeting. He seems cold, aloof, and frankly unpleasant. And in business, this phenomenon happens every day. Alejandro doesn't talk much in meetings. He lacks interest. Mia asks tons of questions. She doesn't understand anything. Raviv expresses his opinion confidently. He is arrogant. These instant judgments are actually cognitive biases, explained by Daniel Kahneman in Thinking Fast and Slow. Our brain goes for the simplest explanation, filling in the blanks with assumptions often incorrect. What if we took a bit more time? Alejandro reflects before speaking and prefers to listen. Mia is extremely rigorous and just wants to understand everything in depth. Raviv is self-confident but also knows how to listen and collaborate. Harvard Business Review study has shown that companies that train their employees about unconscious biases improve team cohesion performance. Ultimately, delaying judgments often helps avoid misunderstandings and improve collaboration. Chapter 2, Me? Change my mind? Never. Pride in professional relationships. Mr. Darcy refuses to admit his mistakes. And at work, how many times do we struggle to recognize that we were wrong about someone? A colleague we thought was too direct, who was actually just efficient and frank. A manager who seems distant but who's actually very involved. A junior who didn't take seriously, who turns out to be brilliant. In the professional world, pride can hinder our growth. It prevents acknowledging that a colleague had a good idea when we had previously criticized them. It pushes some to dig in their heels on an opinion even when facts prove otherwise. It creates unnecessary ego wars just because it would hurt to admit being wrong. Again, the Harvard Business Review shows that companies that value a culture of constructive feedback progress faster. The important thing is not to be right immediately, but to evolve. Chapter 3, Rumor Has It, or how to transform an anecdote into an urban myth. Prejudices have a pervasive effect. They feed rumors. Let's take an example. Monday, Sophia took a day off. Tuesday, Sophia is having an interview elsewhere. Wednesday, Sophia is definitely leaving the company. Friday, Sophia is buying a startup and moving to Singapore. In reality, Sophia just had a medical appointment. Mrs. Bennet in Pride and Prejudice is an expert in excessive interpretation and hasty conclusions. And in business, it's the same. You hear some information, extrapolate it, and it becomes an alternative truth. Rumors are often born from accumulated small prejudices. An employee changes behavior, they must be preparing to leave. A manager cancels a meeting, there must be a hidden crisis. A colleague talks often with management, they must be trying to climb the corporate ladder. In a healthy environment, we promote transparency and fact-checking before spreading suppositions. After all, it's better to verify before fueling a myth. Chapter 4, but this is how we do things here. Cultural misunderstandings. In Pride and Prejudice, Elizabeth and Darcy comes from very different backgrounds, which partly explains their misunderstandings. In an international company is the same. What is direct in one culture might seem aggressive in another. A work habit that seems obvious to some might be completely inappropriate to others. Even within the same country, a word can have multiple meanings depending on the region, and sometimes we judge a colleague without taking their cultural context into account. The challenge isn't to make everything uniform, but to understand and adapt our communication. The best team are those that can listen beyond differences and focus on what unites them. Conclusion: what unites us are values. In Pride and Prejudice, Elizabeth and Darcy didn't have the same character or education, but what brings them together are shared values: respect, integrity, sense of duty. In business, it's the same. What bounds a team are not methods, but shared values. So the next time you encounter a reserved Darcy, a spontaneous Elizabeth, or somewhat dramatic Mrs. Bennet, remember, in Pride and Prejudice, everyone learns to see things differently. In business, we also have this opportunity to write a story where understanding and kindness prevail. And frankly, it's worth trying.